when it comes to relationships, we all want to feel that deep connection. We all want to feel valued for who we are, recognized, appreciated, and understood. And yet, oftentimes, we assume all of the responsibility to our partner without recognizing or taking responsibility for the role that we have to play in our own relationship satisfaction. And ultimately, our relationship satisfaction pretty much determines our overall life satisfaction. So it's really worth taking accountability for the role that you have to play and recognizing the ways in which you can evolve and develop as a person in order to encourage your partner to meet you in the middle. Because again, it needs to be a very reciprocal process, and it's not always going to be an equal division, but both people need to come at it wholeheartedly, and oftentimes, because of, I suppose, past experiences, people bring a lot of baggage into their relationship, or indeed they may struggle with emotional connection, they may struggle with physical intimacy because of their constructs and their conditioning, and that can cause a lot of loneliness, a lot of feelings of rejection if it's not communicated. And it's not that any of these things are life sentences. You can always work on your relationship skills, but again, there has to be that willingness and that openness to develop a sense of self-awareness and to develop an awareness of the relationship dynamic, what works and what doesn't work. I mean, I see it so often, there's these bids for connection. I mean, ultimately, we all want to feel that our partner is there for us, but we can be quite tentative about the way we go about asking them to nurture us and nourish us, and there can be little things like just saying something and hoping against hope that your partner responds in the right way, and they may be engaged in their phone, or they may be engaged in whatever it is that is distracting them. It could be the kids, it could be their work, and ultimately all of a sudden the other person feels like, oh, I've just shut down completely. And that may feel like, okay, I'm being completely rejected here, but you have to be very honest as well about how apparent your bid for connection was, because again, we expect our partners to be able to read our minds, and sometimes the busyness of life and the fact that they don't live inside of our heads means that they can't. And the more explicit we are about what it is that we need, the more communication that there is, the more likely we are to have our needs met. And it's really always worth considering as well, as I said, that you are looking at your partner's needs and their perspective. We tend to be very bogged down on what it is that we require and, where our needs aren't being met. And we don't always look at our partner and say to them, okay, when was the last time I genuinely made them feel loved and appreciated and seen and valued? And it's about coming out to yourself and recognizing the other person and seeing their pain and seeing where they might be struggling and trying to help them through it, as opposed to resenting them for their weaknesses, are not even weaknesses. They maybe what isn't even apparent to them. And again, it's very easy to fall into the trap of judgment and criticism and blame, or kind of premature advice that is unhelpful and that makes the other person feel invalidated. And it's just always checking yourself, asking yourself, am I really present with my partner in this very moment? If I ask them a question now about their needs, if I ask them how they feel about the relationship, am I ready to hear their answer? Am I ready to be gracious about it? Am I ready to acknowledge the role that I have to play in where they're currently at? And applying that curiosity with also the vulnerability to listen to things that you may not necessarily want to hear, and to have to say things that you may not necessarily want to say, are really important. To explore each other, to explore each other's experience, to explore each other's emotions, and to explore each other's hopes and dreams and letdowns and disappointments, because again, we come into our relationship with expectations, and oftentimes these don't materialize. And it's working with the relationship that you have as opposed to working with the relationship that you dreamt about. And it's avoiding, shoulds and ought to and comparison, because again, we do tend to look at other people's relationships and think, oh my God, that's amazing. Why don't we have that? But again, you are never inside somebody's relationship, and a lot of things can be done for show. And it's recognizing that what matters in your relationship is that authenticity with each other, that vulnerability with each other, the honesty, admiring each other, appreciating each other, having space for the other person, making them feel acknowledged, making them feel recognized, and also just having that mutual respect, that mutual end goal that is the two of you together against the world. And if you can try to sustain that at all times, if you can always try to see as good a possible a version of your partner as you possibly can in any given moment, and if you can come at them with a very compassionate and accepting attitude, then your relationship will be a very different place. I hope everyone's having an amazing day. I will talk to you again soon.